So, you play Necromancer and want to try a boon heal support build? You might as well just try out Healscourge. Yes, the Scourge Elite specialization can be a healer. It is in fact among the best heal supports in the game and is my #1 healer I use. I main Necromancer for years now, and I'll show you in these 2 videos how you can play it and what you need for it. Yes, you heard it right, 2 videos. This video specifically will be the short one to explain Healscourge in a short form version, and I have another video that is the extended version that goes more in depth about the ins and outs of Healscourge, and all the possible tricks and information you can have about it. Now, in this particular video, I won't go into explanations too much, since I wish to keep it short and just say what is necessary. And with that,
here we go! Use the sleeves of my sweater.
Alright, the gearing for the short version of this Healscourge video, we want Harrier stats, which is the power, healing power, and concentration. We want this stat for the armor and the trinkets, you know, the backpiece, the rings and such. And for the weapons, we want Minstrel stats, which is the toughness, vitality, healing power, and concentration. That's because we're just aiming to get 85% boon duration because of traits, but I will explain it later. For relic, you want a relic of the monk and nothing else. Don't worry about that. For weapons, as of which weapons to use, you can just pick whatever. It really does not matter too much for Healscourge. For runes, pick Rune of the Monk. For sigils, go with Sigil of Transference and Sigil of Concentration. That's all you have to care about. If you want more in-depth explanations, check out the other video where I explain everything way more than here. Alright, now for the traits again, for the short version of this video, we want Blood Magic, Soul Reaping, and of course Scourge. You want to copy these traits. The only one that you can change here is possibly Vampiric Presence, but you absolutely want Transfusion. This is your 1/2 of your entire build. For Soul Reaping, this is mainly just for less cooldowns on your shades and for faster life force generation and a bigger life force pool basically. And of course Eternal Life is very mandatory here. You don't really want to go anything else. For the middle column, you can go either Vital Presence or Persistence rather, sorry, or Fear of Death. This is usually the meta because of the fear, but I don't really go for that. So I usually just pick Vital Persistence, and that's fine for me. For Scourge, you want Abrasive Grid absolutely, and you want Sensum Shroud. This is mandatory as well. And of course, Desert Empowerment to be able to give Alacrity. That's your traits. Don't think too much about that. Again, if you want more in-depth explanations of why and what, how, why, and the ins and outs, just check out the other video where I go more in depth, but this video is just supposed to be very short, so I will explain everything there. Alright, it's time for the utility skills, including your heal skill and your elite skill. For your healing skill, you absolutely want Well of Blood. That's your main pick. Don't really pick Sense Flare because it's pointless. For your first utility, I permanently use Serpent Siphon because of the Aegis, the barrier, and of course the regen from it, and it is also really good barrier application, obviously. And the other permanent skill I always use and never take off my bar is Signet of Undead because of its revival potential, and of course the life force generation. That's very simple. Usually some people don't really pick this if they are very confident or they have a lot of life force generation from other weapons like a dagger or such, then you can usually take it off and use something else, but there is not much point to it honestly sometimes, so I just leave it as it is. For your elite, you have 2 choices. You have Summon Flesh Golem or you have Ghastly Breach. Now, the simplest way I can explain this, if you need CC, Flesh Golem. If you don't need CC, Ghastly Breach. It's really just that it. And of course, the other explanation will be very quickly is that if you go into a fight where your skill bar might be deleted or removed, like Whisper of Jormag, when you have the teleport phase, it will just completely unsummon your golem, so it will put it on a cooldown and you will just lose your golem. You don't want that, so just use Ghastly Breach on fights like that. Now, your flex slot is basically your middle one for me, and I mainly use Well of Power, not because of the might or anything. I just use it because it converts conditions into boons. It is a great AoE condi remover for your party. Now, for CC, you can use Spectral Grasp, or for niche users, you can use Summon Flesh Worm on Whisper of Jormag again, but they're just single use. You can use Corrupt Boon on Fractals if there is no pain, no gain, for example. For more advanced people, of course, you can use Trail of Anguish for your own stability and swiftness if you want, but I mainly just use it because Stun Break, but this also Stun Break for Well of Power. Usually people use just Desiccate if there is no other options to use ever, so you can keep up Fury and Might on your party as well. Apart from that, Sensewell is also an option for just minimal teleporting, and Corsi Poison Cloud is also used for just deleting projectiles like Dagda, for example. That's really it. You don't really have too much choices and they are all very niche. My main uses are usually just Well of Power, Trail of Anguish, Desiccate, or just simply Sensewell. So that's all I use for. That's your sort of skill options. Of course, you can experiment with it because this is whatever. And of course, if you want more explanations for some skills, you can check out the more in-depth video about this, because this is again a more short video.
Loving what I'm tasting.
Now, as for your food and consumables you want to use for more of a budget and simple version, you can use delicious rice balls because it gives you 100 healing power and 10% outgoing healing. The 10% outgoing healing and the healing power is your main use. If you have ascended food, you can use the typical mint garnish, any kind of it usually, because it gives you not just healing power but also more concentration if you need it, but also still retains the 10% outgoing healing, which you really want. The oil that you want as consumable for Healscourge is the mist infused maintenance oil. There is another one that you can buy on the TP. Usually it is more expensive, but oftentimes in the past mist infused maintenance oil used to be more expensive than the other version. Sometimes they swap prices. Just pick whichever is cheaper than the other. They are the exact same thing. This one is just comes from Word vs Word. The other one can be crafted or just comes from PV in general. That's all you have to really know. It basically increases your outgoing healing for your allies, and that's all you mainly want here, because you want to maximize out the healing output for your build. Alright, time for the gameplay part to explain the playstyle. This is the short form version. So this will be very minimal, but I will try to explain how to apply alacrity and keep up the alacrity and protection and regen and such on people. Honestly, this will be very short and not really explaining much. So if you want really in-depth things about Healscourge, please watch out the more extended version of this Healscourge guide, which will be the other video. I will be linking in the description too. In that video, I will explain more, of course, and I will also explain how can you just permanently bury your 9 people in your 10-man squad for like strikes and such, or even in raids. So if you want more knowledge and such, please just head over to that video and check that one out, and just listen to my blabbing through like probably like almost an hour, but I will explain everything as much as I can in there. This is more of a short version and just like explain in a very basic way that might not be super understandable for some people. So if you want that, again, just check this out. So the very normal basics is you want to slap down 1 shade and you always want 1 down. Now, how do you keep track of your shade? How, you know, because it only exists for 8 seconds, you might feel that this is very spammy and it's just very short on the duration. Well, while that is true, it is sort of like just getting used to, really. Now, to sort of just be very simple, you just 1 down 1 shade next to you or on you, and on your party, of course, in raids or strikes and such, and just keep spamming your Sandstorm Shroud and Sand Cascade. And every time you see this cooldown happening, you just want to slap down another one and just keep spamming it. That's all you want. And of course, to help you out, you want just Serpent Siphon immediately, and you will be good with both the regen, the alacrity, the might generation will be pretty good. All right, especially if you have Desiccate, then you will have pretty much maxing it out. Just always keep down, don't spam it over, because then if you have to relocate something and you just run out of shades like there and just spam 2 immediately and you have to relocate, then you will have, and then you will just run out of shades eventually. So don't really do that, because it's kind of pointless, and just basically don't panic over that. But that's basically how you just keep up alacrity so easily. Your main alacrity provider is Sandstorm Shroud. Now, there is a lot more in-depth things about the range and how many people does it affect and where, which I can't really explain here, because again, that will be in the in-depth guide. Because simply just too much to talk about in the short form version of this video. So just know that use Serpent Siphon, you slap down a shade, use Sandstorm Shroud, Sand Cascade, use Serpent Siphon, and it's really just that it. Again, just manifest Sand Shade, Sand Cascade, Sandstorm Shroud, just spam the 2, Serpent Siphon whenever you can. Of course, if you're a more newbie or newbie to Healscourge, then just keep this in mind, really. Just spam these on your group, stick on your group, let them stack, and then you want to use that. Your main alacrity stacker is basically your Sandstorm Shroud, because it ticks 4 times. It has 4 applications of barrier through 3.5 seconds. Again, the range of it and how many people it affects and where is a little bit different. Just know that Manifest Sunshade will generate alacrity, your Sand Cascade, your Sandstorm Shroud, and your Serpent Siphon will do that to give barrier, and they all give barrier, and through that they will give you always alacrity to everyone they are affected, up to 5 people, of course. Do keep that in mind. The trait will only affect 5 people. I do have to mention that here too. Now, as for healing, you have a couple of options. If you don't count the weapons, then you have Transfusion, which is basically your Garish Pillar, because that will be your transfusion. It basically ticks 9 times through technically 4.5 seconds. It's a very good healing. Actually, let me just move my character into the AoE. Some of your main healing is, of course, the Well of Blood. You can slap it down, it will give regen, and of course it heals them quite a lot too. It's more than 2k per tick, and then they also have regen now, which is 500 per tick, rather per second. And then you have the transfusion via Garish Pillar that will heal, and you can see that it ticks every half a second for more than 1100, which is great for us. Of course, we have also Sandstorm Shroud because of the trait. It will pop a heal there because of life from death. That's sort of what I can explain very, very quickly. It just that's basically your healing. It can heal quite well. You do have to keep in mind the transfusion, that it does revive people on a 600 range, and the healing also has 600 range. So I can heal people from this range too, despite of the Garish Pillar not having that range itself, because it is a shade, but we don't care about it. The main point is, just to explain very quickly and swiftly, the point is that you want barrier on your group while have the healing over times rather than just big burst heals. You have healing over times. Like if I let my healing dummy low and if I place barriers on them, I will just have their raw health being regened under the barrier. That's your entire point. While they have the shield, aka barrier, on them, where the barrier just soaks up all the damage before reaching their actual health, you can just actually heal their raw health. So that's very simply put, that's Healscourge, really. That's the very simple thing. And again, if you want more knowledge about these things, ins and outs, please just check out the extended version. It will be long, I promise you. I will try to explain there, but in the short version I will just keep it simple for this one. And that's basically Healscourge, and I hope you enjoy. It's really, really good. It's viable everywhere. Just one weakness you have is the low stability. You basically have no stability to your party or group or subgroup. So on fights where the CC is very heavy or very constant, you will struggle to keep your party like on their foot, because they will be CC'd every single time unless you have someone who can cover that role for you. You are basically viable everywhere. Raids, strikes, fractals, open world bosses, everywhere really, like convergences, whatever. Like, you are very much appreciated on a lot of fights and instances or endgame content, because you can pull out dead people from the bad red AoEs and such, and that's how it goes. Also, just to quickly show, this is how you exactly pull people with transfusion. Just basically let them die. Well, you don't want them to die or get downed, you want to keep everyone alive, but if it happens because someone is very stupid, which you will experience, then you can just pull them out and like, oh no, someone got down, well, I've pressed transfusion and they are already fine, and you just revive them. That's it. And that's basically the essence of Healscourge. Everyone loves it, and it's very fun and is rather reactive. So I hope you enjoyed this short form version. I hope it helped out with the most minimal information. Again, if you want more information, check out the extended version of this Healscourge guide, if I can even call it guide. Thank you. Enjoy.